And South Africa launches mass screening program for coronavirus.
Welcome to News Hour Live on GBC News. My name is Emmanuel Amagashi.
I am Thelma Taki. Thank you so much for joining us. And Robert Frimpong Manso is interpreting the news into sign language.
Now, Ghana's coronavirus cases have risen to 161, including 5 deaths as at Tuesday. 9 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported from the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research.
All 9 were reported from Accra. 3 of them traveled to Ghana within the past 14 days from Germany, France and Hungary respectively. But for 6 of them, there is no history of travel outside. The Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, KCCR, also reported on tests from 77 samples, including samples from 41 asymptomatic contacts of a case from Tamale Teaching Hospital, and all are negative for COVID-19.
The Health Minister, Mr. Kwaku Agyeman-Manu, has confirmed that 31 people who were affected by coronavirus have recovered. He said one major challenge facing the ministry is contact tracing.
Mr. Agyeman-Manu urged people who are traveling from the epicenters in Ghana, that's Accra and Kumasi, to other regions to stop and stay at one place.
They have treated and discharged 31 people. And it is no stigma. So when you are in this situation, don't go hide anywhere and continue spreading. Every single contact is likely to take from you. The disease, the virus, hasn't got legs. It doesn't move itself. It is in us and we are moving it. There's no point trying to leave Accra to go anywhere. The whole thing is that we are chasing the virus. So stay where you are and let us contain the disease where you are. Luckily for us, the disease is not killing people in Ghana as elsewhere. Earlier on, we were talking about people who were coming from outside, and we have statistics to indicate that over 95-98% of the cases that we have encountered are all index cases, people who had come from outside. Unfortunately, we could only quarantine those who came in the last 2 days. Last weekend, the previous one, they've been in quarantine for about 1 week now. Before that, a number got into our country. So we know, we are not assuming that some element of community spreading has happened. And that is why this situation that we are in, we have put into the field a large number of contact tracers, trying to pick those who came and their contacts for us to test to see if we actually have massive amounts in the system. When we test, we don't leave there. If we find you and you are a suspect, we put you into quarantine, take your samples, test. When you are negative, we know what to do with you. When you are positive, we take you for case management. They look at your situation and begin to treat you. We have managed to get a list of all passengers who came in, especially from affected areas. We have done some estimations and we have a rough idea of the numbers that we are looking for. But if there are people hiding across, they have come, they haven't come out, please let us know them. You can quickly report to the District Directorate of Health Services, and they have the disease control officers, and they also have teams that will quickly go around and will know how to deal with the matter. We need that.
We go to the northern region where there were reports this morning that the Guinean national who escaped from quarantine at a guest house in Tamale had been found. The 21-year-old was among 10 persons in mandatory quarantine after testing positive for coronavirus. The Northern Regional Minister, Mr. Salifu Said, told our news team that the young lady scaled the wall at midnight, leaving her belongings behind. We're joined on the line by our Northern Regional correspondent, Mutala Issa. Good evening, Mutala.
Good evening, Kalma.
Quite a busy day you've had. Now, you've said there's been conflicting reports about the Guinean national. What can you tell us?
Well, news filtering indicates that the person found today was not actually the escapee, and this is a different person, a male who is reported to have come in through the Upper West region, was found loitering around. Now, earlier this morning, reports went around that the escapee had been found. I contacted some sources, and they disclosed to me that yes, they were dispatching a task force to go and pick this person up. So we went on air with this story. Unfortunately, it turned out that it's a male who has actually been found, and that person has also been put under quarantine as we speak now. So the Malian, I beg your pardon, the Guinean national who tested positive and escaped as we speak is still on the loose.
Do we have any idea of how far the search for that lady, we believe, have gotten to?
We are told that all the dispatch teams across the entire northern Ghana, not just the northern region, but upper east, upper west, Savannah and northeast region, as well as the Tamale-Kintampo highway, have all been alerted to this development, and that they are coming and making sure that they bring this young woman back into quarantine.
Mutala, how did she escape from the hotel, the guest house where they were lodged?
Information we gathered from the Regional Security Council is that they detailed 2 military men and 2 police officers at the guest house. But according to the minister, in the middle of the night, this young woman managed to escape on the blind side of the security. Now, what I'm also learning is that because of their condition, the security are not so close to them. They have been positioned quite a distance from them. And the wall that surrounds this guest house is not so high. So she managed to scale the wall and escaped out of the guest house.
Right, Mutala, we'll just leave it here for now. Do keep safe, and we'll get back to you for further details when you have them. Mutala is our northern regional correspondent. He's telling us that the person who was allegedly found this morning was a male and not a female who had been reported to have escaped from quarantine in Tamale, as was earlier speculated, and we'll get back to him for further details. Meanwhile, 78 passengers from Kumasi, including 5 Malians, have been intercepted and put in quarantine in Tamale. Blood samples of the 5 Malians have been taken for testing. We spoke to Mutala Issa earlier in our bulletin.
Majority of them are carrying returnees. The 78 that have been intercepted and are being screened at the TTH right now, about 74 of them are Ghanaians from the northern region who are returning from Kayaye. They were in Kumasi. Their basic job is Kayaye. They were returning as a result of the lockdown. And the remaining 5 are Malian nationals. The bus is also a Malian registered vehicle, but they have all been arrested now and they have been quarantined for the next coming days. They are headed to various villages across the northern region and then the northeast region. Usually they arrive in Tamale and they disembark, take buses to Wale, to Gambada, to Nalerigu, Zabibu, and the rest. The bus itself was headed for Mali, but the 73 or 74 Ghanaians on board the vehicle were headed to various communities within the northern and northeast region. All from the Mali have been taken, and they are waiting the result of those samples, and they will now determine what action to take with regard to the Ghanaians. And that is the reason why they are quarantined all. The result come out. Nobody is leaving.
Day 2 of a 2-week flexible lockdown in Accra and the business district is virtually empty, with shops under lock and key. A typical Tuesday would open with markets swamped by hundreds in buying mode, with the usual accompanying clamor. Here's a report by Shirley Beiwa.
Are not ordinary times, and the deserted streets show how grave the situation is. Roads leading to the central business district, Kimbu, Makola, towards the bus station were virtually empty. The usual gridlock was absent. At Tema Station, a bus terminal to connect to all destinations in Accra and beyond, there were a handful of vehicles with empty stalls and sheds. This yam seller even had the luxury to take a nap. A driver at the Kapim station, Mr. Poenim, said The directive to restrict movement is being adhered to as vehicles are not moving from one locked down city to the other.
Kwesi adana ne yempanyinifo no de to drivers ni nyina anim say the president aka ni nti memma ka bia mfiri akuapema mba ha na de ofiri ha so memma ne lodu mfiri ha nko ti anu de ka bia ntu ye fitie nra no bia so kura mba ha be bisa se ohwehwe akuapema na kofodu aka.
But one major challenge here is security, as miscreants have taken advantage of the situation.
Enra anopa no de na bambafo ni gina gate na no bete ball 10 ekono ye hu obia eba ne sa na kronfo no so for advantage because na ade asa ebinum so ebededa ena omo ne na mo so ende omba no mo beto a okita blade oboto na ode atwa ena won so awaja hosto a oniama kakra wo mu no omo kita ade san so obia ne enti wo beba ne abu ano ade be chi na mu da hohwe.
GBC News encountered about 3 police checkpoints at the Central Business District, ensuring that people understand and abide by the restrictions on human and vehicular movement. This is Kantamanto, one of the country's largest markets. The gates leading to the markets were locked. Caretakers here say their main challenge is access to food.
Obe pio kura ko top yo da kura mu se yo manko no mo dey kill e tata wa to mo basa mo ko kura pese ko to kura be chikra di do ko kura ntimi pio nkoto oba o ma pampa mo ko foni na fro yeso ni bebe ko o pie ba mbisa sen fa na ko
nti de ko so gana no o man hwe no on hwe maye because de ko so de trade because he ble.
It was the same situation at Zongolin, also in the Central Business District. For GBC News, Shelley Bewa reporting.
Now, our news team was also at Kasua in the Utu Senya East Municipal District of the Central Region and Nima in Greater Accra's Ayawaso East constituency. It was evident that these either two busy areas were partially under lockdown.
The security personnel were having a full day, ensuring that only those who had to be out for one reason or the other were out. At Kaswa and surrounding areas, security personnel were visible to ensure compliance with the President's directives. The Divisional MTTD Commander for Wija, DSP Edward Obin Boatin, said a daily operational plan must be devised to handle the partial lockdown. GBC News was also at Nima in the Yawaso East constituency. 48 hours into the lockdown, videos of the situation are already viral, necessitating a visit to some of these areas. On the Nima highway stretch, security personnel were not willing to speak about how the day was going, but they had canes as they went about their assigned duty. Business wasn't as brisk as majority of the shops were closed, and a few vendors who had come out to sell food complained of low patronage.
On GBC News, we're back after the break with more stories for you. Stay with us, please.
Hey, good one, you. Oh, cheers, cheers, cheers.
Hey, this I do like it.
for staying with us. The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Madam Cynthia Morrison, has assured the over 70 head porters who were returned to the national capital after they were intercepted by the Edriso police on Monday of safety during the 2-week partial lockdown. She interacted with them at the forecourt of the former Accra Metropolitan Assembly on the Accra High Street.
When the partial lockdown in some parts of the country came into effect on Monday 30th March, the police at Edriso in the Ashanti region intercepted a cargo truck carrying over 70 head porters, popularly referred to as Kayaye. When the truck was stopped, the driver told the police that he was transporting yam to Walewale and adjoining communities in the northeast region, but he was already done with that errand and had the Kayaye in the bucket of the truck instead. The Kayaye who sleep on the street say they were trying to escape to safety because they were afraid of contracting the virus since they are always out in the open.
We had nowhere to go with our children, so we decided to go home. We are pleading with the authorities to help us.
With personnel from National Security, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Regional Minister, officers from the Accra Metropolitan Task Force, among others, the concerns of these Kayaye were heard and the best possible solutions communicated to assure them of safety.
We have taken the necessary steps to cater for all of your needs, so don't worry. Food, clothes, water and accommodation will all be catered for.
Michelin Taka, GBC News, Accra.
243 markets in the Bono East and Ahafo regions have been disinfected. The exercise, which is part of measures to rid the country of COVID-19, was done simultaneously at the Ahafo Regional Capital Goso in the Esnafo North Municipality. The Regional Minister, Mr. Evans Opoku-Bobie, gave the assurance that the disinfection of markets in the region would not be a 9-day wonder. It would be sustained and carried out properly.
All 43 markets in Ahafo, 78 in Bono East and 125 in Bono region were disinfected during the market cleansing exercise. Zoomlion Ghana is collaborating with government in this drive, which involves 2,000 sprayers divided into gangs of 4 and 5. Stalls, drains and lorry stations were not left out in the disinfection exercise. Street sweeping and washing vehicles were deployed for the job. Speaking to GBC News at Goso, the Ahafo Regional Minister, Mr. Evans Opoku-Bobie, said effective education had been carried out among stakeholders to ensure a smooth operation. He further said about 6 markets were targeted in Esnafo North in towns like Mem, Kasapim, Ayomso, Fauhoyedin and Bediakon. At Kukum, some people hailed the exercise and said it should be sustained. The exercise equally went on well in Sunyai in Bono and Techiman in the Bono East region.
From tomorrow, 1st April, applying for a government scholarship will be done through an online process at www.scholarshipgh.com. This follows the launch of the online platform by the Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia at the Jubilee House in Accra. Dr. Bawumia said the government has set aside 80 million Ghana cedis to support exceptionally clever but needy students for the 2020-2021 academic year.
Higher educational scholarship often opens up the world to the students with many opportunities. To access further education, some students often need financial assistance, without which it may be difficult to fund their studies. earn their degree and find a job to contribute to society. In the 2019-2020 academic year, about 30,000 Ghanaian students in locally accredited institutions, both public and private, benefited from the scholarship scheme. The fees cover tuition and other user fees. The scholarship ensures quality education, develop human capital, and increase the manpower needs of the country. The application process over the years has been manual. The authorities say this allows a human interface, which sometimes breeds favoritism in the selection process. However, the Scholarship Secretariat has introduced a new application platform, www.scholarshipgh.com, an online application process to ensure the application is smooth, guarantee transparency, and remove the human interface in the process. Mr. Kingsley Ajimai is the registrar of scholarships.
Today, after the lunch, a person who sits in Boli, who sits in Esiakwa, who sits in Awurin, with just a click of scholarshipgh.com will have access to scholarship.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Baumia, said the online application will ensure fairness and transparency.
With this new system, this new scholarship administration system, government is seeking to ensure transparency in the scholarship awards, and by this, the risk of corruption will be reduced, as all workflow regarding scholarship application will be streamlined. And that workflow, because it's digital, can easily be audited. Every application can easily be audited. Dr.
Baumia said 80 million Ghana cedis has been set aside to support the needy but brilliant students.
For the 2020-2021 academic year, Scholarship Secretariat and Get Fund has made a provision of 80 million Ghana cedis to cater for the students in local tertiary institutions. By this, the number of beneficiaries is expected to increase to about 70,000 students relative to the 30,000 in the 2019-2020 academic year. From 30,000 to 70,000 students. This is more than 100% increase, and it's very, very significant, and it shows that we are bringing in more people to access scholarships, and therefore focusing on education as a priority for this government, and trying to make sure people from less endowed backgrounds also have access to education.
The Scholarship Secretariat says applicants should, among other things, first gain admission into a local tertiary institution, should be registered and enrolled to undertake the course, and the institution should be accredited by the National Accreditation Board. An applicant must also state the type of school, have a guarantor, register and log on to the portal www.scholarshipgh.com to access.
The judiciary, in ensuring that its critical services are rendered during this partial knockdown, has issued the following guidelines and measures to be implemented in areas in both Greater Accra and Greater Kumasi.
Statement: the Chief Justice, Justice Enini Yeboah, said the restrictions imposed on activities in Greater Accra and Greater Kumasi affect the courts. Therefore, registrars are directed to adjourn all cases listed during this period to date in May and June 2020. The statement says, in Greater Accra and Greater Kumasi, the list of courts published in print and online are designated to deal with critical cases which may arise, that is, breaches arising from the restriction orders and other criminal matters. The Supreme Court and Court of Appeal are available to handle urgent cases as may be determined by the Chief Justice during this period. Registries of the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal will be open during this period. Skeletal staff such as registrars, cashiers, court clerks, interpreters, recorders and bailiffs, however, are required to be in place to support the designated courts. Also, administrative officers will be manned by skeletal staff determined by heads of departments to ensure that critical services are rendered during this period.
It's still News Hour live on GBC News. Time to take a break. We're back shortly with business.
GTV fabrics, perfect for all occasions.
Hello, good evening and welcome. Time now for business, and I am Dorothy Ajamai. A number of corporate entities have responded positively to the plea by government to donate towards the COVID-19 fund. The latest to do so are the Agricultural Development Bank (ADB) with a check for 1 million Ghana cedis and Cocoa Board 200,000 Ghana cedis.
The Agricultural Development Bank, ADB's 1 million package will be used to purchase personal protective equipment, PPE, such as hand gloves, masks, sanitizers, and disinfectants, to be distributed to research institutions, pharma-based organizations, the Ghana Police Service, and identified regional hospitals nationwide to aid personnel at the forefront of the fight against the virus. The managing director of the bank, Dr. John Mensah, said out of the amount,
We do apologize for the mix-up in the audio. Moving on the first day of the lockdown on Monday in Accra, security was relaxed on the Frafraha 37 corridor. But now the security situation has been reviewed, with police and the military manning every major junction on the highway. Edward Nyakun reports.
This was how the road from Amrahia to 37 looked like on the first day of the lockdown. No police, no military personnel, and free flow of traffic. But on Tuesday, I realized that there was traffic on the road. The reason was the heavy security presence at the Frafraha area. Some drivers and individuals were turned away for not having tangible reason for moving from one place to another. However, Abib Alas is a trader and said she went to Medina to purchase maize. She was on the way to Dodowa, where she stays, and was forced to disembark by the police. Just some few kilometers away was another security checkpoint opposite the Mother Love Hospital at Adenta. The next stop was Adenta Barrier, and the police were visible. And at Medina Zongo Junction, there was a combined force of police and the military to ensure strict compliance of the lockdown. Another important observation I made on this journey from Fafara to Accra was the cleanliness of the city. The lockdown has in a way helped in ridding the city of filth. Right from Madina Zongo Junction through Tetekwashi to airport, the sanitation service providers were busy at work. However, one major thing that is missing in some part of the city is street lights. The drive-through Spanner Junction to Adenta has brought to the fore the need to ensure all these lights are functioning properly, especially during this lockdown period. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC News.
Moving on, a lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana, Professor Eric Osei Esibe, says the $1 billion assistance government is securing from the IMF and the World Bank may not be enough to support the 2020 budget because the fiscal impact of the COVID-19 is now evolving.
Also know that what the finance minister have put in place, a very good plan to try to close the gap in terms of how it intends to raise extra revenue to make sure that the country does not grind to a halt, and the government will still continue to be able to finance critical public services, which would definitely include a free senior high school.
Now let's have the performance of the local currency, all the interbank markets, and the prices of gold, cocoa, and light crude from the Commodity Board. The COVID-19 fund. The latest to do so are the Agricultural Development Bank ADB with a check for 1 million Ghana cedis and Cocoa Board 200,000 Ghana cedis. Cultural Development Bank ADB's 1 million cedis package will be used to purchase personal protective equipment, PPEs such as hand gloves, face masks, hand sanitizers and disinfectants to be distributed to research institutions, pharma-based organizations, the Ghana Police Service and identified regional hospitals nationwide to aid personnel at the forefront of the fight against the virus. The managing director of the bank, Dr. John Mensah, said out of the amount, 200,000 cedis will be donated to the President's Fund to combat the spread of the virus. Dr. Mensah said ADB will soon announce packages for farmers, especially in the areas affected by the virus in mainly the peri-urban and rural areas. Customers, hard-working farmers and traders who are vulnerable due to the nature of their work.
In line with this, the bank will donate an amount of 200,000 Ghana cedis to the COVID-19 fund as announced by the President, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo.
Also, Cocoa Board has presented a check for 200,000 Ghana cedis, 5,000 cartons of natural cocoa, an immune system booster, 5,000 liters of alcohol-based sanitizers produced by the Ghana Cocoa Clinic, and 10,000 pieces of
And that's it for business. You have more news coming up. Please stay. To learn from the success stories from China to deal with its own situation. He told GBC News that giving people special passes which allow them to go out only on certain days will help with the restrictions on movements. Dr. Akwete also confirmed that no Ghanaian in China was infected with COVID-19 and that the Ghanaian embassy made nose masks available to her citizens.
No Ghanaian was reported to have been infected or to have been to have had the virus in any way. So all Ghanaians are very, very good. We are doing very, very well by God's grace. My responsibility or my duties that I basically did around that time was to basically help tell them the new policies that had been set. And one of these policies that I think we as a nation in Ghana can learn from was the fact that at these checkpoints, you have to get a pass, and on this pass you are allowed to only leave your community once in 3 days. Now, leaving your community, you are only allowed to go to the supermarket, get some groceries, and then come back.
Meanwhile, the president of the National Union of Ghanaian Students NUGS in China, Mr. Felix Jewado, also spoke to GBC News earlier and says Ghanaian students in China are all safe as new COVID-19 infections drop in China.
Now, the rate of infection is down. All the cases which have been recorded as of today was 48 cases with 1 death, and all of these cases were reported cases. And so if you look across the country, the various provinces, even with the epicenter, no new cases have been recorded. And so I would say that is good news for us here. Yes, I would say that students generally, everyone is doing well, and we are okay. We've adhered to all the instructions that were given by the local authorities as well as the universities, the various universities. And so I would say that for now, we are all good, we are all safe, and we are doing very well.
Elsewhere, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has launched a mass screening program for coronavirus.